Welcome to the Cool Guys Nation podcast, Tools of War. I am posting our second episode here on YouTube, but if you want to keep getting the Cool Guys Nation podcast, Tools of War, go ahead over to iTunes and subscribe to Tools of War. That is the name of our podcast. I think I've said it 3 times now, but for now, go ahead and listen to our second episode here on YouTube, and I hope to see you on iTunes in the near future.
And 3, 2, 1. See, in professional, you never say 1. Do you know that?
Yeah.
You say 3,
2.
2.
Welcome to Tools of War, your 40K content headquarters, hosted by Josh and Aaron from Cool Guys Nation.
Hey everybody, Aaron and Josh here from the Cool Guys Nation, and welcome to Tools of War episode 2. We are tools, and we like to play war. Let's talk about it.
Yes, let's. How's everybody doing out there today? I hope you had a great couple of weeks. We're back with our second episode. This time it's actually the second episode.
It's actually the second episode.
1.5.
1.5.
5.
Yep. We are on the other side of LVO. That's exciting. We're going to talk about that.
Sure, we certainly are. And where do you want to jump in at today?
Let's jump in with, how you been, Josh?
I've been good. How about you?
I'm feeling good. For those of you who don't know, Josh and I quit smoking. Josh quit smoking a while ago.
Yeah.
Longer than me. I quit smoking Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Making it almost 2 months now. Is that right?
That would be like 1 month and a couple of weeks, I think.
Okay, well, it feels like 2 months to me.
But you're doing good.
I am doing so good.
Yeah, you're doing good. Keep up
Okay.
the good work.
What have we been up to gaming-wise? For those of you who don't know, we have our narrative campaign going on right now. Episode 2 is live on Patreon, and by the time this comes out, it will be live on YouTube. Episode 3 is ready to be filmed. We're actually sitting in the studio with the terrain all set up, getting ready for Game 3, which will probably be filmed this Friday.
Correct.
And hopefully that will be after this is put up.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So it makes sense in the timeline.
Yeah, and if you want to check out our videos and you want to get them a week early, ad-free, always go ahead, check out our Patreon. Everything else, our painting tutorials, our comments, our silly videos, that's all for free on YouTube, as is everything else. But if you want early access to the battle reports, specifically 40K battle reports, check out our Patreon. That'd be super helpful. Enough with the plugs. Let's jump into the big news, ITC LVO. There was some happenings.
Yeah. What do you know about it?
Well, I know that there's a bunch of articles, and I know that a bunch of people are complaining about the live streaming, that live streaming is changing the way that gamers game. I also know that some of the issues with setup taking a very long time at the last tournament happened in this tournament as well, and people aren't happy about it. And then generally something about behavior.
Well, there was a lot of things that happened at LVO.
Okay.
First off, there was someone who brought an unpainted army and was not excited about having to not be able to play. So that was the first thing. But they enforced, I mean, obviously they've had those rules up forever, whatever. And then everything kind of went pretty smoothly.
Let's just talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the unpainted army.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Gaming store. Do you need a painted army? No.
No.
With your friends, you need WYSIWYG? No. Maybe. Okay.
It depends on
games can get
what you
intense.
want,
We all know that games can get intense, and the rules are complicated. Even Josh and I occasionally fight. You'll never see it on camera, but occasionally we have disagreements, and someone's feelings gets hurt. Usually me.
And we start crying.
And we cry a little bit in the studio. But the thing is, when you're playing and you're making decisions, and you think you're making a decision because something's holding a plasma gun and it's actually holding a bolter, those things, it affects strategy and it affects the game.
Sure.
And even when you're like, well, this counts as and this counts as, it's still, it's still difficult. So I think in tournaments, WYSIWYG is really important.
Yes.
And I also think that when you're spending hundreds of dollars, even thousands of dollars, to travel across the country, across the world, and go to a tournament where you're playing with lots of people, where you're playing on good terrain, you expect to have really high-quality games. And that means playing opponents who have had their armies painted or who have painted their armies. I played one opponent in Adepticon who had a, air quotes, painted army that was garbage. I mean, it was 3-color minimum, but it was like, it looked like a 2-year-old painted the army. And they had a bunch of stuff that wasn't WYSIWYG. And it was not fun. It was a not fun game. It was really unenjoyable, especially after you know how much effort you yourself put in to either painting your own army, having a friend paint it, getting it painted, just taking that effort to bring it, building a terrain board for weeks and weeks and weeks, whatever it happens to be, it's not fun.
Yeah, well,
so
I
agree with that.
Yeah, there's a difference between like your local game store running a tournament or something like that. When you're going to these big conventions and things like that, that's like supposed to show off the best of the best, your best work, your best play, your best sportsmanship, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and there's always side events that don't necessarily have those requirements.
Right, but I mean, most of those events specifically say you need to have it painted. Here's the what we're looking for and what the paint looks like. Models need to be base. Models need to be painted.
I will give one caveat though.
Yeah.
The websites in general, particularly because 8th edition is bringing in a lot of new players or bringing a lot of people back out, and because of the YouTube thing and professional play, it seems like it's really picking up a lot of steam where it hasn't had as much of a following before. They're not really great at laying out the rules and really saying. So I could see if you're a new player and you go to some website, I'm not going to say which one, and you're trying to find the rules, and then inside the rules you're trying to find the specifics of what you actually are supposed to have or not. It can be pretty complicated. And I didn't figure out some of the more finer details of tournament rules until my second or third year going to the tournaments.
I agree, but I mean, somebody who's going to be flying to Las Vegas for the LVO, which is like the premier single person tournament kind of thing, probably figured out that they needed to actually have a painted army. I'm just saying.
I'm not condoning it. I'm just hoping that as this grows and as the community grows, better information, clearer information just becomes easier for everybody to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I totally agree. And more to the point about painting, it might not be your bag. You might not be your bag. It might not be your cup of tea. You might not be into painting and things like that.
It doesn't have to be crystal brush worthy.
Yeah, exactly. Just that you put some effort in. I think that's important. I mean, that's something that we do for the channel. We make sure that our stuff is painted. There's very few exceptions whether we're playing some.
Usually only if we're changing out armies or trying something new.
Right.
I mean, we have several armies that are not painted.
Right.
That we haven't played with on camera.
Right. Yeah. All right. What else at LVO? So we have a couple of things. GW had a big drop for news. Some of the big things that they talked about is the new army for Age of Sigmar, the Daughters of Cain.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, they look amazing.
Ladies on the battlefield, I like it.
If you guys have not seen these models, they're amazing. So they show the new Marathi model. They show some awesome Naga people with two different versions. It looks like a bow version, another one with a melee version. And then there's these harpy-looking individuals. They look really incredible. And then they show a teaser of something that has a very, very large snake body.
Yes, it's very exciting. That is really exciting.
Yeah.
And hopefully it means that 40K Sisters in plastic will be coming out soon too. Which, by the way, not to change the subject, did you see the leaked Games Workshop video that was unlisted but that somebody got the URL for?
Oh, yeah, about the dwarf. They've listed it at this point.
Yeah, at this point. But when it first came out, somebody, I don't know how I think they intentionally leaked it. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to find an unlisted video.
Yeah.
Unless they actually left it unlisted and named it just whatever, and somebody came up in a search.
Here's what I think about that.
Yeah.
You're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably an on-purpose leak.
An on-purpose leak.
GW has listed the next 3 books that are going to be released in the next few months. Dark Eldar, Tau, Necrons. Now, you may have noticed a pattern with those. Those are all of our newest armies and one of our oldest armies that we get to play with.
That's true.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Because we just got the Dark Eldar and the Tau.
We did just get Dark Eldar, and we just got Tau. The problem is, well, not so much for the Tau. The Dark Eldar is a very specific army. It's a 7th edition army. So we might not have exactly what we need to play. But at least, we'll have the new rules for what we do have.
Right.
The Tau army is fairly large, so we should be able to figure out, a more 8th edition-ish list from what we have. And Dark Angels is very, very large, but...
You mean Necrons?
Oh, Necrons. Yeah, I'm sorry. Necrons is very large, so we should have no problem making
I don't have
list.
I don't have wraiths for it, which is the only thing that I don't have.
We can get some Wraiths if we need it.
I don't think that we're going to need it.
I actually, I have a box of Wraiths.
Why?
Because I was using their tails for something else.
Oh.
So we could just make some tail.
We can have them coming out of the dirt.
Have them coming out of the dirt.
Out of the dirt.
There you go.
All right. So that's the two big drops from GW. You know, the video you were talking about showed the dwarf for Necromunda. I forget what they're called.
And then that came out, didn't it? Wasn't there a picture of dwarves for Necromunda?
Yeah. So just one. It looks like these are those hirelings. So they've actually put up about 9 or 10 of the new models for Necromunda, in addition to looks like resin arms that you can purchase for the existing models. So they showed the Goliaths with existing models and things like that. But that was not at LVO. This is something they've released since then, but we were on the subject, so we might as well talk about it. Let's get back on topic. So let's talk about the top 8 lists.
Okay.
You'll notice a pattern. What do you see?
Eldar.
Yeah, Eldari, Ynnari. They're all Ynnari lists, basically.
Except the Space Wolves.
Well, I'm saying all the ones up there. So we had a character-heavy Eltiok Ynnari army. We had a Eltiok Ynnari.
With flyers, with bikes.
Another one with bikes. And then we had a couple of funny lists in there. There was the Tzeentch Demon Death Guard list. Had a 430-point fortification with it. And then 553 points of reinforcements. So whenever things would die, they would split. They would do the split with the horrors and stuff like that. It was pretty funny. Then the Imp Guard, Blood Angels, Sanguinary Guard spam. So they had like 3 units of Sanguinary Guard. And then a bunch of infantry units and things like that. The Space Wolf one was just like a crap ton of Space Wolf characters on the Cyber Wolves. And then the BA Jump Captain, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Blood Angels can really tool up a Jump Pack Captain so that he's like doing like 4 damage per swing with his Thunder Hammer on like 2s re-rolling and all this stuff. It's pretty interesting, yeah. And he can go up and smack flyers and do all kinds of fun things. And then they also took Imperial Guard and some Assassins. And then there was a Blood Angel army that actually took Intercessors, 4 units of them, to fill out Min battalions so that they could get extra command points to use in their games.
Yeah, wasn't that a 10-point list, 10 command point list?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how many of it was. I can tell you that
it also had the Super Jump Captain.
It did, yes. All the Blood Angels ones and even the Space Wolf one had that. So because he's awesome. And then the top 2 were Ynnari versus Ynnari, almost completely like mirrors of each other. And the top 2 people were Tony Grappando and Nick Nanavati, I believe. I think that's how you say his last name. He's also Nick Brown on Facebook. So if you want to find him, you can find him on there. But there was some drama.
What was the drama?
The drama in the top 8. First there was some misscoring that happened. So there was placing in the top 8 that was kind of wacky. They took care of that. And then there was some sportsmanship questions. So basically, there was 3 things that happened in the top 8. First, there was some slow play, slow deploy.
Right, 1 hour deployment.
Right.
1 hour deployment.
I think it was the first turn.
2.5 hours of gameplay.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, I am not about that at all. I really, really don't like that. And I know it's been talked about a lot on other podcasts. Josh and I have talked about it in person. Like, I get that deployment's a big part of the game and that you don't necessarily want to rush it, but if you're playing a 2.5 hour game, like an hour for deployment, that's crazy. I mean, let's just think about this. Josh and I have a 2 hour window to film, and we usually play 1,500 points. So these lists are a little bit bigger at 2,000 points, but we play 2,000 as well. We will deploy, play 5 turns, and film usually in an hour and a half to 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right? And the filming slows the game down by half.
It slows it down a lot. We take breaks in between at the end of all the turns.
Yeah.
And each unit moving, we have a short clip, and yeah.
So taking an hour at a tournament to deploy, it's legal. It needs to be changed.
Yeah. Well, they definitely did that towards the end of the top 8, which we can talk about a little bit. One of the other things that happened is 2 people agreed to use a chess clock for their first round of that. Mm-hmm. And they agreed to use it, and then the one person ran out of time, and the other person was making quick play decisions, weren't firing all the weapons and things like that because they thought that they had an agreement for the chess clock. And then when the other person ran out, they're like, well, it didn't really matter. We just were going to use them for fun or whatnot. So, and then he went on to win that game. And then there was the slow play one where, Altiok, Ynnari is a very delicate army to play. If you make play mistake, you will die very quickly.
I've never learned that.
You never, yeah. So I can understand some time to set up, but obviously an hour to play the first round is way too much. And basically what happened is one of the people that was playing in that game, the person who didn't take an hour started going very fast to make up the time. So they
and he misplayed.
He did it. He had a misplay, and then their opponent really
called him out on it.
Right. And from then on, the player that misplayed wasn't going to win that game because they were playing a full close combat army.
Yeah, it was over.
And then they didn't.
I believe the misplay was with a drop or something like.
It was a teleport. So they were, they did some moves and then they were dropping in their guys, and then they're like, nope, that was the end of your movement phase because you teleported in, and so he didn't move the great majority of his close combat army.
Well, it is a tournament, and misplaying is a thing. But it doesn't feel like the culture of 40K to me. Yeah. That's the problem. The problem is, I've played in tournaments. I've made misplays. I've had people do misplays, and it's always been resolved with, it's okay. We understand the intent. We know what you're doing. Go ahead and fix it. It's usually not that big of a deal. I don't know if I want to play in a world where, in chess, if you take your finger off the piece, it's overdone forever. I get it. Maybe if it gets more and more popular and it's higher stakes, and I understand that as a competition. I don't know. It's tough. I recently played in a Magic tournament. Okay.
Yes.
I played a Grand Prix tournament. Some of you may have seen the videos. It was a team tournament. We built lists, draft style. And it was a 3-player team versus another 3-player team. You all had your own deck, but you're playing together. And as part of the team, you could help each other, right? So if Josh was playing, he could show me his cards, and he could be like, hey, do you think I should do this or this? And if you got knocked out, you could go and sit behind your friend and help coach them and whatnot. Obviously, you couldn't mess with the other team. There were limits. You couldn't trade decks and things like that. I misplayed turn 1. I'm at this grand tournament, 2,000 people. I play Magic casually with my friends. They need another teammate. They're like, hey, come play with us. I'm like, sure, sounds like fun. They did not mention that it was a 2,000-person Grand Prix tournament, Magic professionals being there. And I got super nervous on turn 1, and I mulliganed, which is you put all your cards down, and I drew 6 more cards. And I didn't know that at a tournament, when you mulligan, you can scry, which means that you can look at the top card, and then you can decide to put it down or on the bottom. So I drew my 6 cards. The other player was like, hey, do you want to scry? And I said, scry? You're allowed to scry? He said, yeah, when you mulligan, you can scry. I scried. I looked at the card. I put it down. I started the game. I picked up the card. Judge, right? Because you're not supposed to draw on the first turn. It was a completely... First of all, it had no effect on the game. It was no bearing because I got to scry anyways.
Right.
But I get it, right? It's a tournament and I misplayed.
Right.
The problem is that person was using the judge call to manipulate the clock and to intimidate me. And over the course of the next 50 minutes, I got the judge called on me 4 more times without doing anything wrong and having nothing found with the exception of that first stupid misplay. And that's not the type of environment that I want to be in.
It sounds like it was a lot of fun.
It was not. That round was not a lot of fun. And actually at the end of that round, his 4th call on me, I asked the judge, I'm like, we have 10 minutes left in the round. Can you please not leave? And the judge was like, okay. because I was tired of this, and I wound up beating him, which was great. That was vindicating, but it was not fun. And what Magic lacks is sportsmanship. Mm-hmm. Score. 40K has it.
Yeah. Well, the big thing was that this was on the live stream,
right?
Which everybody is looking at. This is kind of like the ambassador for the game, and there's a lot of people that are intimidated by going to something like a big tournament, and then they see that happen, they're like, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
Which can be an issue. So that was the second thing that kind of happened. The final thing that happened was between Nick and Tony. Basically, what happened? Jet bikes come in for Tony. He forgot to use a stratagem during the move phase, which is when you have to use a stratagem. Skips all the way over. He does a shooting, blah blah blah, everything else. Then he wants to assault with his jet bikes, but he didn't use that stratagem. And Nick called Tony out on it and said, "Hey, this is what you did to the other person. I'm going to have to hold you to it on this too." And that was pretty much the end of that game as well, because those bikes were going to go in and tear everything up on Nick's side. So those were some of the kind of things that happened. I actually watched the live stream while that was happening. And it was hilarious to see what was going on in the chat and things like that. Like somebody instantly had that recorded and put it up online, and then they were like, play it again in the chat. So every 30 seconds somebody would repost the thing of that happening. Now, aside from what happened, we saw lots of Eldar armies of the Ynnari specifically.
Back on top. Eldar back on top.
Yep. There's some confusion about if they're overpowered or if the combination's overpowered. It's the combination of everything kind of working together, because you're using 4 different armies technically. So you're using the Eltiak, you're using the Samhain jet bikes, you're using the Ynnari Soulburst. You're doing all of these things and using the stratagems so that you can jump all over the place.
Sounds Eldari to me.
It does, but the issue is that. There's so many advantages to doing that, to using that. Somebody that's a very high caliber player is going to be able to run circles around somebody else. So you can run out, shoot, run back in with the stratagem. You've got those jet bikes. I don't know if you know what those jet bikes do. The Shining Spears.
I don't.
Basically, they do something like this. They can deep strike in through the webway, and then they can use a stratagem to move 22 inches. They can still shoot and assault, because they have another stratagem for that. So they deep strike anywhere on the board, move 22 inches, shoot, then charge, all in the same turn.
Sweet.
So yeah, they jump in, they kill everything in your back lines, all your soft stuff that was left behind after they move, and then they charge whatever's left. They got re-rolls and attack twice, shoot twice. I mean, there's just a lot of things that they can do. So it's pretty brutal, and that's why when Tony got called out on that, that's a huge unit to not be able to use all their stuff with. But Tony was in first place for ITC placings, and the only way that Nick was able to get on top for that is to beat Tony in the final round. So Nick ended up winning both the ITC and LVO at the same time by beating Tony.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
good for him.
Yeah, it was really interesting. All of the top, most of the top players, a lot of the Ynnari players, all are part of the same friend group and whatever. They've all won. They're the top players at all the tournaments. So I think it's Tony and Nick and Brad, and I don't know the other guy's name, but they're all good friends, and that's how they all had this most similar list, because they were all playtesting with each other.
Right. And one's I'll do it with bikes, and I'll do it with airplanes, and I'll do it with can openers.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Well, that's LVO. It sounds fun. Of course, we have Adepticon coming up, which is really exciting, and we're going to be top 8.
No.
Yeah.
No, because we're playing in team.
I'm going to be top 8.
Oh, you're going to be top 8. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
What are you going to take?
Whatever you tell me to. Death Guard, my friend, taking Death Guard.
Ynnari.
No.
I think they're going to change the Yanari issues fairly quickly.
Maybe not. We'll see. That is something I don't like.
What?
That people break the game and then they have to fix the game, and then those same people break the game a different way, and what's the point of fixing it? It's a problem.
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't want to argue about it.
It's worse than just having it completely broken
That's
forever.
true. It is worse than having completely broken forever.
A couple of other things. GW also announced what?
The cafe.
Yes.
The cafe. So I got the email. I'm torn.
Yeah.
I like GW stores.
Yes.
Some of my best memories and longest friends I met at GW stores.
Yeah.
I don't like that at GW stores the only thing you get access to is GW product.
Yeah.
You know, I like the gaming experience where you can go and you can buy Magic cards, you see other games. I saw this really cool game at Grognar's, our local store that we go to all the time. It's a $5 game where you use Matchbox cards. It's a tabletop game and it has these rules where you can take your Hot Wheels or Matchbox or whatever and like customize them out to look all like Road Warrior and whatnot and play a game on them. Like that's awesome. And at GW you wouldn't see that. I've been to Warhammer World. Mm-hmm. The cafe there is surprisingly good.
That's a Bugman's restaurant, right?
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
Burgers and ribs and, you know, like, here's the thing. It's not great. It's good for the fact that you take your wife and your mother-in-law and your father-in-law and your 1-year-old on a 2-hour drive from London to go to some gaming thing, and you're like, don't worry, by the time we get there, there'll be food, and they're like, what are they going to have? Like cold hot dogs? You're like, no. And you get
they're warm hot dogs.
Yeah, you get there and they have like beer and really good food, considering that you're in a gaming store, but not like, you know, I mean, Chili's is better. Like, let's just be clear. So, do gaming stores need that? Yes. You know, is it going to bring me to a Games Workshop store? Maybe. I want to see it, but I really don't. I don't want to compete with my local stores.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There's one that's going to be opening in the United States right now.
But it's a test.
It's a test. There's some things that are kind of concerning to me because they put up a thing to hire somebody, but they only said one person,
right.
Which is concerning if this is going to be, you know, kind of what we.
Well, what are the
expect
smaller stores going to do?
Well, do you mean the smaller GW stores?
Like literally space-wise.
They're not going to have it.
Yeah, but that might be really bad for them.
Yeah, well, there's only one, so it's just like when they had the Battle Bunker here in Chicago.
Oh, I love the Battle Bunker.
Yeah, but the other stores did fine. There was actually more stores when the Battle Bunker was open.
That's true.
Anyways, so the rumor is that where it's going to be, because they didn't say where it's going to be. The rumor.
What's the rumor?
It's Dallas so far.
Dallas.
Yeah,
Dallas.
Dallas.
Really? Dallas.
Yeah. A lot of people were saying like Tennessee. I think Memphis is where their headquarters in these states are right now. Something
I don't know. Yeah,
so they said something about that being a possibility. But
I know their distribution centers in Memphis.
Yeah, that's probably But you know, we were talking to the local game stores, and they were really excited. They were really scared that it was going to come here, and they were really excited when they found out that the rumors were most likely going to be Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, there are... Chicago is weird because in the city you don't have a lot of space. And the Games Workshop stores have had some really bizarre locations. Like the Games Workshop store that was closest to me when I was growing up was in the John Hancock building. Okay?
Really?
Yeah, and it was in the basement in a fully glass thing, which is now the exit to the Sky Deck and where the... like gift shop is, right?
Wow.
I mean, I have no idea how much a month that thing costs.
Yeah.
I'm sure now it's like $20,000 a month in rent or something. It's just like this super bizarre space. But in Chicago, in the city, small spaces.
Right.
You know, the gaming stores are really small. So if GW is going to have a restaurant there, difficult. Out in the suburbs, you got more space.
Where was the Battle Bunker?
Battle Bunker was like an hour away.
It was in the suburbs.
Yeah, Butterfield or something.
It was off of Butterfield Road. You're right. Yeah, it was like
it was a double wide space. If you want to see the Battle Bunker, go to Cool Guys Nation YouTube page. Go all the way back to our earliest videos, okay? And I believe that there's a Space Wolf game or a Tau game, and also one called the Bug Hunt, which was a thing that the Battle Bunker put on, which is like a big Tyranid event. You can see the Battle Bunker space.
Was that the single side Battle Bunker or the double?
The double side Battle Bunker.
Nice.
That was the double side Battle Bunker.
Yeah, that was the extra large Battle Bunker.
Yeah.
They had they actually had like the regional headquarters across the way there. And at one point, it was one side of the building. Then they went to the other side and had them together. And then the one side moved to the other side.
Yeah, it was bizarre. But do you remember what was next door to it?
Laser tag.
Laser tag. That's right. Laser tag.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was pretty awesome. Okay.
It's still there.
Yeah, the laser tag is still there.
Yeah,
is the GW still there at all?
No.
The whole thing's closed.
I think it's like a teacher supply store. I think now. Okay. Which is kind of funny.
Well, anyways, we'll see how that develops. Hopefully, the food is as good.
I don't know that they're going to have food. It sounds like they're cafe makes me think more like coffee, drinks.
If it's just drinks and coffee, like who cares?
Yeah, they might have some like small bits of prepackaged food.
I think gaming stores should always have that if you have the space. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's just like minting money. People are going to be there for a long time. You know, you get like cans of pop.
The one in North Carolina, the gaming store I used to go to in North Carolina. I don't remember what it's called. Huge gaming store, big online sales. I'm sure some of you buy stuff from them. They had a cafe and food, like Hot Pockets and crap. It was good.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of stores. I think there's one in California that has like a full restaurant bar. I think it's got a full bar in the game store.
Josh, what's on your table for hobby time?
Oh my gosh, man. My super secret, awesome.
So mad at you.
Awesome.
So mad at you.
Awesome plan.
So mad. Let me tell you, Josh is better in all respects at life, except for being a father. I'm a better father. What? That's the truth. He's better at painting. He's better at unit composition. He's better at playing. He's better at rules. He's better at everything. So occasionally when I like have a good idea, which is rare, it's few and far between. In both cases, he has immediately not let me own this. The first time was with the Mechanicum. I whooped his butt with 8th edition Mechanicum, and he immediately went out and got a Mechanicum army.
But I didn't. I traded for it.
Got by whatever means. It does not matter. It was like within days. And now the Custodes come out, which I bought a Custodes army. I didn't buy them because I thought they were going to be super cool, the rules. I bought them because they are cool. And now the new Custodes are coming out, and it's like my thing. But it turns out their jet bikes are really good. So what does Josh do?
Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily think the jet bikes are everything. They're good, but the reason what I'm doing is I'm converting every single model in the army that I'm playing. So I'm doing an entire jet bike 2K army.
Yeah, but what you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Josh does not play anything that isn't good.
That is not true.
Oh, what do you play that's not good?
Tau.
When's the last time you played Tau?
Well, like a week or 2 weeks ago.
Okay, Tau.
They might be good soon.
And the new book might be really good. Anyways, yes, you're doing something really cool, which is you're converting them, and you can explain how. I'm just saying that, like, it was my thing. That's all I'm saying.
Well, see, this way it's still your thing because mine are completely different.
Yeah. So what are you doing? How are you doing it?
All right. So the Stormcast Eternals have these dudes called Paladors, which are these chocobo-looking things. Basically, they're on like little baby griff kind of things. So they don't have wings, but they're like part lion, part goat, horse, griffin heads. But they look awesome. I don't play Stormcast. I wasn't going to buy those models. Those models nobody really plays, but they came in Blight War. So I love the models, but I don't play Stormcast. And I was like, these are some awesome models. They look super cool. So I'm like, those are going to be my jet bikes. And
so you're making Custo jet bikes out of Age of Sigmar Chocobo riders. And for those of you who don't know, Chocobo are Final Fantasy birds made popular in Final Fantasy VII. They are like Yoshi, but birds.
But birds. So these ones have 4 limbs, so they're a little different, but they're close enough.
Yeah, Yoshi had arms, didn't he?
The Chocobos had
wings. Chocobos had wings, right? These guys have arms instead of wings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is every single model is going to be converted. I've got some bits. Basically, I traded. The reason how this all comes about is because all these Blight War boxes came out. And the Blight War has 2 characters that you can't get anywhere else, except now you can get the one. But prior to this last month, you could only get the snail guy for Nurgle in that box, and you can only get one of the characters for the Stormcast in that box. And then there was like a little spinner thing for Nurgle that you could only get in that box. And it had those Paladors in there. Most people just wanted the characters or like one side or the other. So there's a surplus, especially now that Nurgle's the new hotness in both AOS and in 40K. So everybody's got these Paladors on sprue that nobody wants. So I made trades for them, and I traded for them. Their value was basically about $25. So I went and I traded for a whole bunch of them, and I have 18 of them.
So you're going to have 18 Custo jet bikes?
And I've got 2 of the larger Gryph-hound guys, the characters, for the characters. I got the Lord Aquilors.
And how many points is that?
It's 2k points for that, with one of the units in there having the assault salvo weapons. Everything else has hurricane bolters.
So you're going to run 20 jet bikes.
20 jet bikes.
That's so Josh. on that note.
Well, don't you want to hear how I'm converting them?
Sure.
You don't seem to want to know.
I'm just laying down.
Yeah. So I picked up the Centurion Hurricane Bolter bits and the missile launcher bits for the Centurions.
The chest ones,
right?
Yeah.
And I did not realize they're so tiny.
They're itsy bitsy.
And so I was planning on building like these giant harnesses for them to go on, and I was like, oh, this is gonna look weird. I'm like, I have all this plastic card that I'm like trying to cut up and do stuff, and they come in the mail and they're so tiny and cute, and I'm like, oh my god, I know what I'm gonna do.
Put them on the shields.
Put them on shields, because I love the Man of Wars from Privateer Press with the gun shields. I don't like the game. But I had all these old Tomb King shields that those the launchers fit perfectly on. And there's a missile version and a hurricane bolter version, so that's perfect right off the bat.
Yeah.
So I've got all of them set up. I'm still waiting for a couple of bits to come in for that, but I have all the parts. The shock spears are going to be done with the swords from the base unit that nobody wanted. Mm-hmm.
You just put the sword on the end of a stick.
Right, I'm drilling them all and putting brass rod for the actual the shock lances, and then at the end they'll have the sword bit.
And so it's WYSIWYG.
It's completely WYSIWYG, hurricane bolters / salvo launchers / shock lance, and then I'm using Marauder horseman heads, and I am using various bits and bobs from different Imperium products. So like there'll be like the bags and the box on the back of the regular bikes for Marines.
Right, I gave you a bunch.
You gave me a bunch of those. I got a bunch from the Dice Dojo. So I'm going to be putting those on. I've cyberized one of my Aquilors, so he's got like an eagle eye on the actual mount. And then I'm going to be using my green stuff tentacle maker to make tubes and stuff like that, so that it looks like the birds are cybernetic. The whole thing about this army is going to be Custos in the past and in the present have also been sent to protect people and places. So mine is going to be like 10,000, 9,000 years ago. These Custos were placed here to protect this one area, and they were cut off from the Imperium for like 9,000 years. Ah. And so their jet bikes stopped working because they've just disintegrated at this point. The other weaponry is more easy to maintain, but jet bikes are not. Like levitation jet bikes, probably hard to do. So they've adopted the local fauna and animals to build their items and to use as their jet bike mounts.
Genius. And of course, you're going to be putting this on the YouTube page. Now you have to do it. You have to do it now because I said it on the podcast.
It's going to happen.
Okay, you want to know what's on my table?
What's on your table?
Just regular boxes of Custodes. Just the regular boxes.
Yeah. That's cool though. You got a lot, but you're gonna have a much more varied army than I am.
I'm gonna have
because you already have a bunch.
I do have a bunch. We're looking at it right now.
That's it.
Let's throw it to the end.
Throw it to the end. What's that mean? Whoosh. I caught it. He just made a football throwing motion. The sports ball.
Last bit of news. CGN is going to be at Nova. I mean, we're going to be at Adepticon playing, but CGN is actually helping to sponsor an event at Nova, which is really exciting.
Which event is it?
The 40K narrative game.
Yes.
And myself and Chris you will see in the Valhalla video at the very beginning, he's like packing stuff in my studio. Mm-hmm. That's Chris. He's very involved.
He ran the narrative at
he ran Apocalypse.
The Apocalypse. But it was a narrative Apocalypse game.
It was a narrative Apocalypse game. Him and I are combining our resources, and we have commissioned a 4 by 12 foot table to be made by 3T Studios, the same people who made the fantastic terrain that we've been using in our narrative campaign here. It is a futuristic cityscape, like I want to say, not really. I don't know how to describe it. Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
Right. Not downtrodden. Not apocalyptic.
Is it kind of like close to like the Infinity stuff, but a little bigger scale?
It's close to Infinity, but it's not going to have all of the crisp lines. Okay. You know, it's still going to be made of the plaster and things like that. So, just not broken tiles and busted out windows, but like clean, nice city, but futuristic. And
something
might have a train
to get blown up.
Something get blown up, exactly, because we got to blow it up. So that's really exciting. I'm going to be working on live streaming the Apocalypse game, the 2-table Apocalypse game. So check that out, CGN at Nova. Hopefully, our information will start going up on the Nova website. We still got some details to work out with that, but I'm very excited to be doing that. And then, of course, Josh and I are playing Adepticon.
We are. What events are you playing in?
40K singles, Combat Patrol, and Team Double.
That's great. And I'm just doing the team doubles for 40K, and then I'm going to be doing
Arena Rex.
That's right, the championships for Arena Rex. Now that I have a very small child, I can't play in all the things that I normally would. So we're scaling it back a little bit to make sure I still have some time. I think I'm going to bring Sammy.
I'm excited that I'm playing one gaming system. The past 2 years, I've played 3 different gaming systems
and
over
teams.
4 days in teams. I played Age of Sigmar,
Kings of War,
and 40K Team. And it was too much.
Yeah.
And just playing 3 events, Combat Patrol is only a half day, so 2.5 days of the 4 days seems so good. Unless I take top 8 in the championship, and then I have another day of that.
You know what that means?
That we don't play doubles.
No, that you just don't do well.
Well, that's a given. That's a given. All right. Well, Josh, as always, a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Same.
You've been listening to Tools of War from the Cool Guys Nation. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, leave a comment on the podcast. Apparently, that's what podcast people say. It helps the podcast. I don't know. It's only our second one.
Are we on? We're on Apple now, right?
We are on Apple. iTunes approved the first episode. It took like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll take the same amount of time for the second episode. I guess they might have more scrutiny for the first episode.
Sure.
But yeah, we are on Apple. I'm also going to be getting it on SoundCloud. I'm going to be getting it up on Spotify, which I have to look into those things. Otherwise, you can find it at coolguysnation.com/podcasts.
Are we going to have it go up on our YouTube channel as well? For just sound?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Just trying to get all the different areas that people can check it out on.
I don't know.
Okay.
We could try.
Excellent.
Why not? Well, until next time, this has been Aaron.
And Josh.
We'll see you on
the table.
Bye.
Bye-bye.